What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Zip It Up Pod. We are glad to have you. We got a large episode incoming, a fun episode incoming. Check this out. Let me go ahead and give you the rundown on what's happening here. 4th of July weekend is incoming, so that's big to begin with. But we're going to recap a great Atlanta race that happened this past weekend. And then we're also going to preview the Chicago Street Course race. We will also update the in-season challenge, and then, at the end of our episode today, for those of you that are listening, I will also add in an interview that I did on Sunday evening with a guy by the name of Kyle Fox, and if you find him on TikTok, he is actually going to be called Chase Elliott's twin. But yeah, that was a fun interview that I did just the other night, and so we put that out on YouTube already. But I want those of you that listen on audio to catch that interview as well. Fun time talking to him, and so that will be at the end of this episode. So in order for us to get there, we got to cover some things. We got to talk some racing, but we must begin with our drink of the night and or drink of the day, whenever you're listening to this. But it's become tradition that I have a toast, and so this week we're going with a Coors Light, and I did prepare a little something for everyone to cheers to. Since it is 4th of July weekend, fire up the grills and crank up the Toby Keith, baby. It's America's birthday, and Chase Elliott just won Atlanta. We're either going to party like it's 1776 or 2020. This great country gave us NASCAR, Cletus McFarland, and the God-given right to argue how bad them Chevys are going to whoop them Ford's tails on Sundays. This episode is going out to anyone who enjoys freedom, fast cars, or daggum fireworks at the racetrack. God bless NASCAR, God bless Zip It Up Pod, and God bless the USA. Yeah, that revs up my engine. Let's go. We are out the gates and off to a fiery start. So let's talk Atlanta. I'm going to hit on a couple of key topics that came out of the Atlanta race, and also one minor topic that has hit NASCAR news since we finished the Atlanta race. But let's begin with Chase Elliott. He is the hot topic. He just snapped a 44 race winless streak. And so I predicted this on last week's pod. I picked Chase as our Hendrick winner, and then I picked Keselowski as the non-Hendrick winner. And what did both of those guys do? They went out and finished 1-2. Nailed that one. I don't nail a lot, but when I do, I got to say something about it. Anyway, as for Chase Elliott, we've seen this coming for a few weeks now. This was Chase was coming off of 2 top 5s in a row. And then this week, he asserted that momentum and was able to get a win. Got to victory lane for the first time in a while. So now he's got 3 top 5s in a row. And he's heading into a great part of the schedule for him. The next 2 races are at road courses. And in the first 2 road courses that we've raced at this year, he finished top 5 in both of those. And then don't forget, he now has 18 straight races, finishing in the top 20 to begin the season. So if he finishes top 20 here in Chicago this week, that would tie his career best start of 19 consecutive weeks, which he just did last year. He's on quite an incredible, consistent run. Also, he and Tyler Reddick are the only drivers this season without a DNF. And I'm sure that we just jinxed the out of Chase Elliott, but he's on quite a heater. And we're going to hope that continues as he's moving into tracks that he is very good at. And like I said, he's very consistent. I don't think he's going to run bad. Okay. Next topic I'm going to touch on real quick is Daniel Suarez is going to be out at Trackhouse at the end of the season. This was announced, I believe, yesterday. So this came after Atlanta happened. But it looks like the writing's been on the wall. I believe Suarez said he's known for a little while. I'm pretty sure they just needed to get through Mexico City without this news coming out. So I'm sure they've probably known before that. But, Trackhouse, they got Red Bull sponsorship for SVG and Connor Zilic. And then earlier this year, Pitbull departed kind of abruptly. So you just kind of seen the writing on the wall here. However, this was the longest leash that Daniel Suarez has ever had in his career. He has spent 5 years at Trackhouse. I believe the longest stint he's ever spent anywhere else in the Cup Series was just 2 years at Joe Gibbs Racing. So going forward, um, hopefully he can land a ride in the Cup Series. If I saw anything working out, maybe with Colleague Racing. But I really feel like the best fit would be for him to find an Xfinity full-time ride. If he ends up at JRM, that would be a great spot for him. He'd be getting into good equipment and a great car and can maybe kind of reinvent his career. I think he's a great dude. I like him. I especially like him after watching the documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Full Speed. He was featured in both seasons of that show, and I I gotta say I like his taste in his collection of automobiles. He loves VWs, and I'm a big VW bus fan. So yeah, he's a likable guy. He's a great character. He was tremendous in hoisting the sport when we were going to Mexico City. Um, but he's not there. He's not at Trackhouse standards. And so moving forward, I mean, they're going to have a stacked lineup. I believe this is not confirmed, but I am just assuming that their 3-car lineup at Trackhouse now is going to be Chastain, SVG, and Connor Zilic. And why would you not want to bring up Zilic? I know he's super young and hasn't had much time to prove himself, but he's a road course ace. He just got his first oval win in Xfinity a couple weeks ago at Pocono with Dale Jr. as his crew chief. So, I mean, the kid is super talented, and they're going to lock him down. Trackhouse is going to get him and lock him down, and they'd be crazy not to. So, unfortunately, that means Suarez is out. Then the last topic I want to mention from Atlanta, this was a fun one, but Denny Hamlin was eliminated by Ty Dillon in the in-season bracket challenge. Now, I called this upset last week. I didn't call many. I didn't get many right. We'll touch on that later in the episode. Like I said, I want y'all to know it when I'm right, but you also need to know it when I'm wrong, and I'll tell you later how wrong I was. But I did call this upset last week. It had to happen this way. Denny Hamlin was like the originator of the bracket. And so he was coming off of 3 straight top 3 finishes. He was the best seed, while Ty Dillon was the worst seed in the bracket, and he gets eliminated. And it's beauty. It is glorious. And then Ty Dillon dropped an epic quote after the race. I'm not going to repeat the quote. We've all heard it. Something about your favorite driver was eliminated. But ever since Ty Dillon said that, I was intrigued to see how Denny Hamlin was going to respond. He's got a podcast every week, so he had to confront this, and he had to talk about Ty Dillon's line. And I got to say, Denny Hamlin gained a point in my book by taking it on the chin and just letting Ty Dillon enjoy the moment and soak in the moment. If I'm being honest with you, when Denny Hamlin wins a race and he says, "I just beat your favorite driver," I kind of love that. I love it when he says that stupid line because he's kind of leaning into the villain role. And I think we need more drivers to lean into their roles, whether it be hero or villain. Joey Logano, he would be a great villain, but he just doesn't really pursue any of that. So I got to say, at least Denny Hamlin plays a great villain. And so, yeah, he earns a point in my book for not only playing a really good villain, but then when it can be reversed and used on him, I appreciated that. when he shared that on his podcast this past week. So that's all the news and topics that I have coming out of Atlanta. But now we are going to get right into our team-by-team analysis of that race. And so Chase Elliott winning, that's big for Hendrick Motorsports. We now have 317 total Cup wins. That's more than any other organization in the Cup Series. That was also our 18th. That was also our 18th win at Atlanta or Echo Park Speedway, whatever. And now we have a new record. After breaking a record last week, we now have a new record of 26 straight points-paying races where we've had at least one Hendrick driver finish in the top 5. Remember, Chase broke that record for us last week by finishing 5th. And then this week he goes out and wins. Not to mention, Alex Bowman finished top 5 to help us continue that streak. So let's see how far that record can go. We're headed to a good track this week. Going to be interesting to see how long that can last. But let's look driver by driver from Atlanta. Chase Elliott, obviously he was our best finisher. He started 15th, and then he went on to finish stage 2 in second. He lost by an inch to Tyler Reddick. And depending on which camera angle you look at, you could make a case for Chase Elliott or Tyler Reddick winning that stage. They ultimately gave it to Reddick. But Chase got the last laugh. He won the race. And this was career win number 20 for Chase Elliott. He also advances to the Sweet 16 in the in-season challenge. And also this win locks him into the playoffs, which is probably the biggest thing. I mean, we knew he was going to be there. He had a great chance of getting in by points. But now you don't have to sweat it out. You don't have to worry about a bad run of races. You're locked in, and you're going to be racing for a championship possibly. Our next best finisher was Alex Bowman. He started 9th, and then he went on to finish 4th in stage 2. And then he finished the race 3rd. He gave a real key push to Chase Elliott. In order for Chase to get that win, he had to have Alex Bowman push him by Brad. And that happened when they were taking the white flag coming out of turn 4. Bowman gives a great push to Chase, gets him by Brad, and then instead of pushing Brad back to Chase, he decided to race side by side with Brad, and that allowed Chase to really secure the victory. And Bowman ends up 3rd. He was neck and neck with Brad at the line. Almost got a 1-2 finish for Hendrick, but instead he takes 3rd place, and his time is coming. He also advanced to the Sweet 16 of the in-season challenge, and it was another good points week for Bowman. He helped himself on the cut line. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. Next, we have Kyle Larson, who started 11th. I believe he was our best qualifier. No, he qualified just outside the top 10, right behind Bowman, actually. So Larson started 11th. He finished 17th. He was involved in an accident, but this accident, it didn't take him out. It just really eliminated him from being competitive. He never was in contention after the accident happened. So, not much to say from Larson's day. However, he did lose to Tyler Reddick in the in-season challenge. So he is eliminated from the bracket, and I actually had him in the championship. So that one hurts quite a bit. And then lastly, we got William Byron. William Byron started 18th. Then he finished 4th in stage 1. Then he went on to finish 37th for the race because he got caught up in the big one. Nothing you can really say about that. It just happens at those super speedways. When you're racing as close as you are, you get caught in someone else's mess. Luckily, Chase was up towards the front. I think he was leading when the big accidents occurred, so he was out of harm's way. But William Byron lost to Ryan Preece in the in-season challenge, so he is also eliminated now. And then I got to take a drink real quick before I get into this next part. Okay. Shall we say it? We got to confront it. But William Byron's last 4 finishes are 28th, 9th, 27th, and 37th. The points leader has entered his summer slump. Now the goal is to get out of it. And he's going to get out of it just by we need to see small progression, little improvements. We got to get those in the results category. We don't have to worry about running up front. We just need to get results right now from this 24 team who doesn't seem to be getting it. Every single summer this happens. So they got to start by qualifying better, and then that's going to lead to better top 10s, more top 5s, and then eventually wins for this team. Were it not for Daytona 500, big wreck happening at the front of the field, this team would be sitting here without a win this year. However, he's had great speed all year long. He has led a bunch of laps, but the results really haven't shown for their dominance. Like I said, only the 1 win this year, and that was kind of lucky. And now it does seem like he is in a summer slump. So he's going to need a great day in Chicago on the street. We'll see what happens with this team. We got to keep watching them closely because I've been warning us that it was coming. I think everybody knows it's coming. We're afraid to say, yeah, it's happening now, but yeah, it seems like he has entered the summer slump. However, he is still the points leader, okay? Let's update you on the driver standings real quick. William Byron still leads the driver standings. He's got 631 points. But now there is a new guy in second place. That guy is Chase Elliott. He's only 37 points behind William Byron for the driver point standings lead, which awards points at the end of the regular season. So that's a big race that we're going to have to keep our eye on. Kyle Larson is third in those standings. He is 42 points back. And then Alex Bowman, the important thing to note here for Bowman is that he's 15th in the playoff standings. So if we look at that playoff bubble, Bowman is plus 39 points to the good right now. I think he was plus 20 coming into the Atlanta race, so he helped himself out and almost doubled that number, that cushion. But he cannot get comfortable. Like I said, we got road courses coming up. Still got Daytona coming up. And, yeah, anybody can win. Anything can happen. But it seems like this team has maybe climbed out of their slump that they were in, where they had performance, but they didn't have the results. But he's in a spot right now to make the playoffs. We just got to stay there. Okay. So now I guess it's time to preview the Chicago Street Course. And to be honest, we don't have a lot to preview because NASCAR's only been there 2 times. Okay, 2 years in a row that we've gone to the Chicago Street Courses. So we only got 2 races to go off of. So let's look at the organization as a whole real quick. Hendrick Motorsports has had these 4 drivers go to Chicago and race the street course 2 times. Okay, we have 1 win. That was last year in 2024 when Alex Bowman won. He locked himself in the playoffs with that win. Okay, we also have 1 pole. That was last year, 2024, with Kyle Larson. Now we have, in the 2 races, we got 3 top 5s, which is the most of all teams, and all 3 of those top 5s happened last year. We have 4 top 10s, which is most, and we've only led 8 laps. All 8 of those belong to Alex Bowman, who led the last 8 laps of the race last year. Okay, but because I want to give you all the stats and everything you need to know going into a race about our drivers, Here's a few stats for each of those drivers individually. Beginning with Larson. In his 2 starts, he's got the 1 pole and an average finish of 21.5. Chase Elliott has 2 starts, and his average finish is 12th. William Byron has 2 starts. His average finish is a 10.5. And then Alex Bowman has 2 starts here. He's got the 1 win, the 8 laps led, and his average finish is 19. That's all I got to share for you going into the Chicago Street Course. All right. So I was looking at the betting lines for this week, and I used the Hard Rock app for anyone that also looks at betting odds. Okay. The favorite for this race is SVG. He is plus 180. That's a pretty big favorite in NASCAR. Okay. Especially because the second best favorite is plus 700. Now, those odds belong to Kyle Larson, so he is our Hendrick driver with the best odds heading into the Chicago Street Course. Chase Elliott is plus 1,200 this week, which is 6th best odds in the field. William Byron is plus 1,300, which is 7th best odds in the field. And then Alex Bowman is plus 2,000 with the 8th best odds in the field. Coming up to Chicago Street Course this week. All right, a couple notables I wanted to let you in on. First is Ty Gibbs. He is plus 1,100 this week. And he was really the only car that can match SVG a few weeks ago in Mexico City. So Ty Gibbs, he's still searching for his first career win. If he already had that win, I feel like these odds would be a little bit lower. So go ahead and take him now while you got a chance to get some plus 1,100 money. And then Denny Hamlin, he's plus 5,000. The reason I want to bring him up is because he won the pole here a couple years ago. And I believe that was in a bad weather weekend. So Chicago hasn't had great weather either year that we've been there so far. The weather should be much more improved this weekend. But his odds are a little higher right now because he does not have a great record in next gen on the road courses. And he just missed the last road course race in Mexico City. So you might want to think about taking plus 5,000 for Denny Hamlin. However, don't spend your money on gambling just because I tell you to. These are just things that I'm considering. And wanted to mention it. It's fun to talk about. It's just guy talk. So that's what you came here for, and that's what you're going to get. But I am not responsible for your money. All right? Let's go ahead and make our predictions. I'm going to give you 3 winners this week. Hopefully, one of these 3 win. Last week, we had one of them win. Okay? But I'm going to give you our Hendrick winner first. And I think I got to go Chase Elliott. Mainly because we're going to roll with a hot hand. Like I said, he's got 3 top 5s in a row. He's coming off a win at his home track. The 2 previous road courses this year, he's finished top 5. And we're headed into another road course. He's got 7 career victories on these road courses. He doesn't have one yet in the next gen era. This might be the week. Chicago, look out for the hot hand of Chase Elliott. Okay. Our non-Hendrick winner, I think I will go Ty Gibbs, mainly because I picked him in our fantasy league this week, but he seems to be making improvements and getting closer and closer to eventually getting a checkered flag. We've seen his other 3 teammates at JGR win a race this year and lock themselves in the playoffs. So I'm sure Ty Gibbs is feeling a little bit of pressure to finally start performing and get some results. And we're going to go with him this week as the non-Hendrick winner. And then our long shot, I'm going to go Michael McDowell. He seems to surprise every now and then. And if he goes out and wins this race, we're going to look back and say we're not surprised because it was a road course. But let's be honest, Michael McDowell, anytime he wins, it is a surprise. He doesn't do it enough. I think he's got 2 career wins. And both of those were considered wild card tracks or wild card wins. So I don't know. I just have a little funny feeling about McDowell. I don't know if it's specifically for this week or if it's in one of the weeks to come. But he feels like a driver that's flying way under the radar right now. And, I mean, to be honest, he has not looked great this year. But it could happen. And let's be honest, we're going to be a little bit surprised when it does happen. But I'm going to call it, okay? I've had a funny feeling about certain things over the past month, and that's just one of them. Michael McDowell, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to put money on him going out and winning this race, but to see him finish top 5 would feel like quite the victory for that team right now. So we'll see what happens with that 71 car. But before we finish this episode, I'm going to give you an update on the in-season challenge. And I'm going to inform you how I did because me and my son came on and shared our picks last week. And I didn't even look to see how well he did. He's probably beaten me. But I'm going to let you know that I only got 6 out of the 16 correct in the first round. And they actually all came from the left side of the bracket. I missed everything on the right side. But some of the key matchups that I got right. I got Ty Dillon over Keselowski. Oh, sorry. I had him over Hamlin. I do have Ty Dillon this week over Keselowski. I wanted to point that out. I still have Chase Elliott alive, who is my champion of the bracket. I still got Bowman alive, who is in my final 4 of the bracket. So I got 2 of my final 4 still remaining. And I just got to say, I love the bracket. I love the fact that they started in Atlanta. It's supposed to be chaotic. It's supposed to be madness. It's supposed to be wild. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be impossible. And I love everything about this bracket. It's just like March Madness. It's impossible to get correct all the way through. And so the fact that they start off this way in Atlanta, I think is perfect. I think it falls right in NASCAR's hands. It's exactly what they want. And it creates great storylines. Out of the 16 drivers remaining, only one of them has won a race this year. And it's the guy that won the race this past week. All other winners have already been eliminated. That's incredible. There's no way you can plan to do that. NASCAR didn't plan for that to happen. That's just the way things fall, and that's the way things fell at Atlanta. And, I love it. So this week, look, I've never been to Chicago, so I don't have a restaurant to recommend for you. I would say to try 2 things if you get a chance. One, a Chicago dog. I got a place right down the street from me called Hot Dog Heaven, and they are known for being authentic Chicago dogs. I love the place. It's my favorite hot dog here in Orlando. And one of my definitely top 10, maybe top 5 restaurants, okay? It's just a little hot dog joint. So if I was in Chicago, I would for sure get a hot dog. And then maybe a pizza. Who doesn't love pizza, right? I'm sure you can find a good pizza walking around the racetrack this weekend. But look, we got the Cup race on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. It's going to be on TNT. There is an Xfinity race this weekend on Saturday, but we don't have any entries in that race. But there will be some interesting things to watch in that one if you happen to take the time to watch it. So, we're in for a good weekend of racing, and I'm glad you made it this far. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm about to cut this recording off. If you are listening on any of the podcast platforms, it's just audio only. You're going to stay here and keep listening to the interview that I did with Chase Elliott's twin. Again, this guy's real name is Kyle Fox, but you can find him on TikTok as Chase Elliott's twin. He looks identical to Chase Elliott and had this interview in the works for a couple weeks, but he had just taken a vacation. And so couldn't do the interview during vacation, but as soon as he got back home, he reached out and said, let's chat soon. And we made it happen, and it just so happened to line up that we had the interview planned the day after Chase actually won the race, which made things a little bit more interesting. But we talk about a lot of fun stuff. You get to learn a little bit more about him. He's got a great account going on TikTok right now. He's doing a campaign where he is posting at least one video every day. He's asking Chase to go golfing with him. So we want to support him in that campaign. We want to follow him. Go find him on TikTok, and hopefully we can make that golf match happen for him. But he's just a normal dude. He's a great race fan. I'm not going to give too much more away. I want you to go learn that by listening to the podcast, or sorry, the audio interview that I did with him. But yeah, just really stoked to have met him, virtually. Hope to meet him in the future, in person, maybe at a race. And yeah, we'll cook it up then. And same to all of y'all. We got Daytona coming up here, less than 2 months away. I will have an announcement coming soon about the Daytona race. So keep your eyes and your ears peeled for that. But man, come chop it up with us in Daytona in August. That's for sure going to be a good one. It is the cutoff race for the playoffs. But until then, we got a lot more NASCAR to keep enjoying. And even after that, when the playoffs are here, it's really shaping up to be a great season. We're 18 races in. We got 18 races to go. This is the halfway cutoff point. So, again, thanks for joining us. And yeah, I will see y'all next week. Have a good one.